Hey everyone, and welcome to Screams After Midnight. I am Peter, that is Tim, and we talk about horror movies on this show. And in this episode, we are looking at Friday the 13th, Part 6. Jason lives.
Mm-hmm.
Because Jason was dead, and now he lives.
Oh, well, I'm gonna miss Roy.
Just to spoil, the final chapter. Not so much the final chapter. We had a new beginning, then that didn't work out. So now it's Jason Lives, and we're going from here. So we have been working our way through these movies. We started last October, and we've been going through them kind of roughly once a month, but it's been kind of, here or there. And this is the sixth one. This is what I often labeled as a fan favourite, this one. So as always, we'll start spoiler-free. We'll give you a warning before we get into spoilers, and that's what we're going to do. So Friday the 13th Part 6 is, of course, a slasher movie again, where Jason, this time, is officially something supernatural because he is struck by lightning and his corpse rises from the grave, and he starts once again going around killing people at Camp Crystal Lake. Although they've changed the name in the movie. Now, this is not a mistake. The residents of the town have changed. It's like Forest Green or whatever it is, because they don't want to be associated with Crystal Lake, because Crystal Lake is Camp Blood. That's where the Jason murders happened. So they've done that. But hey, Tim.
Yeah.
Do you enjoy Friday the 13th Part 6?
What the hell? I'm a little offended that you even have to ask. I mean, come on. Of course I love it.
It's not like I ask at the start of every single episode if you like the movie or not.
Well, this one you should have known, because I love this movie. It's fantastic. I don't know who these fans are you're talking about, but I gotta agree with them. This one is probably the best of the series. I think it's the funnest. It's really I like 4 a lot. Like 3's pretty good, and then I liked 4 a lot. But I feel like this is finally the fully realized Jason that I want. Where we're just we're just having fun with it. He's kind of lovable in this one, and
He's kind of lovable in this one. He's cuddly. He's a cuddly Jason. You want to hug him.
But no, there's a lot of really fun kills, and I like the story. Tommy Jarvis isn't annoying like he was in the last one. Actually, I'm kind of rooting for him in this one, and yeah, I just think it's really great. Good movie.
Well, so don't hold back, Tim. Tell us how you really feel. Yeah, no, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I don't think I hold it quite in the high regard that you do. No, this is the thing. Often fans will say it's their favourite, right? That is the most common answer is probably number 6. And I don't think it is the best one. Or it's not my favourite, at the very least. There's a few I like more than it.
All right, yeah, we all know that you're gonna go to bat for Jason Goes to Hell, but we'll get there. We'll get there.
You shut your goat mouth. You understand me? You shut your mouth. No, I like it a lot. I think the best part of it is the Jason stuff, is the kills. The other characters,
Well, it's kind of weird. In this one, I mean, I guess it's not that far off for a Friday the 13th movie, but it does feel like there is a more realized story going on with all the Tommy Jarvis stuff, but then there's a lot of random kills,
there is, because one of the complaints with the last one, with the 5th one, was that so many characters are introduced in the scenes where they die, and there's a lot of that in this one as well. Now, admittedly, they're having more fun with it. It's a bit more cartoony, so you kind of get away with it a little bit more. I think my thing is that Tommy in this, you say you're rooting for him. I think he's kind of a bad actor. And not in a likable way.
Fair.
He's just kind of a bad actor. And the result, honestly, so at the start of the movie, he traipses out to Jason's grave because he's I need to make sure he's dead, and he's dragging along his buddy. And there's some references to him being in a hospital or a mental ward, but it doesn't feel like it's the same Tommy that ended Part 5 at all. There's almost no.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they really had to kind of distance themselves away from the last one. I don't know if it's kind of weird, because I think nowadays, a lot of people will recognize that as being bad, but I wonder if it was critically kind of not well liked when it first came out. But this definitely does feel like a course correction for the franchise.
Yeah. Although part of me thinks you should just had, but actually had a pair of balls and just did what you wanted to do, and that's make Tommy the killer. Like, just make Tommy be the.
Sure.
There's kind of some like references to that because the sheriff thinks it's him for a bit, but we know it's not. I mean, we know it's Jason. Yeah. But he digs up Jason's grave. They see his body.
And I love this opening.
Yeah, and then he stabs it with the. I don't even know what it is. Part of a fence or something.
It's like just a metal spike or something.
He stabs Jason's body with it. And then it gets struck by lightning, and this is what brings him back to life. So the entire movie, every single person that dies, all I can think is, this is your fault, Tommy.
Oh, yeah.
You did this. You brought him back. The entire movie, you're like screaming and saying, oh, I need to stop this. I need to go like stop Jason. You need to listen to me. And I'm like, this is all your fault. Like, the sheriff may not be right that he thinks you're the one killing people because you're a psychopath, but he's right that it's your fault because every single death in this movie is on your hands.
I don't know. I disagree with you a little bit there. I feel like it's God's fault. Like, you can't. Tommy doesn't control lightning.
All Tommy had to do, and this is not a hard thing that people have to do. This is a really easy thing to accomplish in life. Is just not go and dig up the guy's grave. Mm-hmm. For most people, I mean, how many graves have you dug up, Tim? I'm going to assume it's in the lower single digits.
Yeah, I mean, probably less than you'd think, but more than I'm willing to admit.
So like, Tommy's a bit shit, I guess. This is what I'm saying. I think his romance with the sheriff's daughter is a little bit weird, and she seems to be into him, even though her only interaction is that he's behind bars in the sheriff's office. And
man, he's a bad boy.
But he's not. He doesn't look like a bad boy. He doesn't act like a bad boy. He just happens to be behind bars. And she's willing to go and help him and pick him up, to go and meet this stranger. And the only time she's interacted with him before now is when he was behind bars. And yet, for some reason, she thinks, oh, this is a good idea. I want to go help him. Like, some of the character logic in this one is, like, ridiculously stupid. Well,
I mean, that's kind of what one of the things I like about it is everything feels like it's kind of cranked up to the max, like just the idea of stabbing him with his big metal spike and then lightning, electrocuting him and bringing him back to life. Like, that is so stupid, but in, just that super fun, cheesy 80s way. Like,
I don't want this to come across as I've been really harsh on this because it is really cartoony and it gets away with a lot of this because it's cartoony. Yeah. I think what I'm saying though is when I say it's not one of my, like, I mean, I like it a lot. It's definitely in the upper half of like the Friday movies for sure. But I think when I say it's not like my favorite, and I've got like maybe a few others that I like more, I think it's because it's not even, it's like at this point it's stopped pretending that it's a horror movie, and it's just, no, we're here to watch Jason kill people in ridiculous ways, and those moments are great. They're fantastic. But it's not even pretending to actually have the build of plot. Like, the teen characters that are killed off one by one, yeah, we meet a couple of them, but we spend almost no time with them. And I know that with a Friday the 13th movie, you're like, oh, you want to spend more time with the teens? Like, is that really what you want? And I'm like, it kind of is. Like, like...
No, I think that's fair. Like, you want a, like... Well, I feel like you can't really have it both ways, like... Because, they're trying to... have a story and like, build up some characters, but also just have, this numerous bodies that are just...
I guess what I'm saying is there's no characters in this that are that memorable, right? Outside of obviously Tommy and, maybe his love interest and the sheriff, right? There's no Shelley. There's no...
Well, thank God for that.
No, Shelley's the best. You shut up. Like even 5 had memorable characters. Like, okay, we meet this group and there's a couple that stand out. Whereas this doesn't really have, like, all of the friends of the sheriff's daughter who get killed eventually. I mean, we're not in spoilers yet, but I mean, it's the Friday the 13th movie, so bear with me.
Yeah.
Like, none of them are memorable. I don't remember. I don't know any of their names. I don't really know what type of character they are outside of the guy's kind of a leather jacket wearing dude.
Sure.
Which he doesn't even actually wear a lot. But he's got ripped jeans and he always has like an earring in. He's like that's his.
He's the coolish kind of guy.
Yeah. That's basically his whole thing. Whereas I'm just saying, you go back to some of the other movies and okay, sure, they're archetypes, but like I could say, oh no, this guy's the sort of the more normally jockey one, and then this one's the nerdy one, this one's the whatever, and this girl's the timid one, this girl's the slutty one, this girl's, you know, like, whereas here, like, there's, like, I have almost no bearing even to that extent. Like, they're just all just there for murder.
No, I mean that's fair. I guess like it doesn't really bother me. But like I know what you're saying. Like yeah, there's a lot of people that's just like, yeah, we need to up the body count, so we'll just throw these people in here and there, and
like random characters who are playing a paintball game in the woods, or a random couple.
Like, forget that part.
Yeah, or a random couple having a picnic, or a random couple who gets stuck in a car, or, you know, there's just all these different scenes of like people who would just meet for the sake of the kill. And like I say, it works because it's a cartoon, and that is absolutely fine. I think what I'm really saying is that as I'm watching this one, I don't feel the build to like the final act. It just kind of gets there. Does that make any sense? Like,
oh yeah, I know what you mean. Like it's like to me, it feels like it's bookended by these, you know, basically these two scenes where you have the kind of the resurrection scene in the beginning, and then like, you know, the last like 10-15ish minutes. Like to me, that's kind of like basically the story. Like you can kind of, you know, solidify that to like about 20 minutes worth of what happens, and then yeah, the rest is kind of just, yeah, like you say, a cartoony like kill-a-thon.
And it's basically just a back and forth thing. It'll be a scene dealing with like Tommy with the sheriff or the sheriff's daughter and what's going on with that. Then it'll cut to just random people being killed. It'll cut back to Tommy and the sheriff or the sheriff's daughter. Then it'll cut back to just some random people getting killed. And it basically does that just back and forth for like the majority of the movie.
Yeah.
I'll give it some credit here where something's due though. It is the only one where there's actually kids at the camp, which makes it a little bit unique. So I'm like, oh, this is actually kind of cool. I mean, and then again, after then detract points because they don't let him kill any kids. Like,
yeah,
come
it's a
on
little
now.
bit of a wasted opportunity.
Yeah, come on, kill a kid. Like, I don't know why it's like such a faux pas in movies just to kill children, but you know what? It's a movie. Yeah. You know what? You kill like dogs for sympathy all the time. It's always the easy sympathies to kill the dog. Kill some kids, right?
Yeah.
In your slasher movie, it's okay. It's okay.
Just load up a sleeping bag with like 4 or 5 of them and go to town.
Hell, John Carpenter was willing to do an action movie, right? At the start of that. Assault on Precinct 13 starts with the brutal murder of a little girl. It's fantastic because it immediately says this movie's willing to do this. You have to settle in, put on your seatbelts. It's time for a wild ride. Whereas
never actually saw Assault on Precinct 13.
Oh, it's really good. It's not a horror movie, obviously, but it's really good.
Yeah, it's one of the ones I've wanted to see. It's just never got around to it.
So, yes. So again, I don't want to come off too harsh. I actually like this movie a lot, but I do, because everyone says it's their favorite. I do think it's a bit overrated.
Okay. That's fair.
But only because of that.
About it.
But that's the only reason why I think it's overrated. Is because it's always like, oh, it's everyone's favorite, and I'm like, no, it's not. I don't think, not mine anyway. It's good. It's really good. But
well, I mean, it's, you know, if we, I think maybe, I wonder if it helps to the fact that like I was never like on a whole. Like, I'm not huge on the franchise. Like, I like it, don't get me wrong, but, you know, it's not my favorite franchise. So I don't know if that makes a difference, because the way you're talking, I kind of feel a little similar with Nightmare, which is like my favorite franchise. And I feel like that happens a lot with Dream Warriors, which I love and I think is great, but also that one's not my favorite. Like, it is a lot of people. So you know, I kind of get what you're saying. And
yes, but in that case, they're right.
Well,
just to be clear, in that case, they're right. Well, because I think a lot of people who do say this is their favorite are people who are fans of the franchise, like, and do love the whole thing. But I have to admit, I think I like 2, 3, 4 more than I do 6. I mean, 6 is way better than 1 and 5, like, no question. But
I mean, I'd give you 4, but you know, I'm still really not crazy about 2 and 3. Well, I mean, they're like, I don't hate them, but they're definitely not like my top favorites.
That's fair.
And,
that's fair.
But again, I think like I kind of do like the, you know, kind of wackier, cartoonier aspects to, you know, this series more, which that might just be a preference thing.
Yeah.
So, which is like, again, I feel like the later, you know, you go on, kind of the more crazier it gets.
Oh no, absolutely. And what's funny is that people like. I actually think the structure of this one's kind of weird, and I think Tommy's a bit of a letdown, and that's maybe where my main problems come in because the kills themselves are fantastic. There's some really inventive kills. They're really funny at times. So spoilers here from this point on. Full spoilers for Friday the 13th Part 6. Like in the camper van when the girl's head gets like shoved into the wall and it's like the indent of her head on the outside. Yeah. That's really good.
The one that always makes me laugh is when one of the counselors, I think, is just standing by the window, and then you just see her like kind of get like dragged out, but it is like so cartoony, like she just like flies out. It's like,
oh yeah, her slippers fall off, like her feet start like jittering, and her slippers are just left in blood. It's super cartoony. That and the one that really makes me laugh is I think it's the gravekeeper. Where Jason just grabs his bottle of booze and then with his hand just crushes it and then stabs him in the neck with the leftover bottle. That's a really fun kill. The kills are great. Do you know what I think where I went too far with 1 or 2 is see the paintball stuff?
Right. Mm-hmm.
That's all in broad daylight. And for some reason, there's something that just takes some of the charm out of it, is seeing Jason like decapitate 3 people in one swipe in broad daylight.
Oh, definitely.
I don't know. It was just weird. Like all of a sudden, the movie felt cheap because it was in the forest during the day. I don't know what it is, but it just didn't have the same feel to it.
It also didn't really feel like a very cinematic forest. Like it kind of reminded I don't know. It kind of looked like the kind of like
Student
backyards
movie.
and like definitely like something that you would just find in like a park nearby or something.
Do you know what I think the problem with that scene was? Is that it felt less like a scene from Friday the 13th. And more like a skit from like Saturday Night Live, based on Friday the 13th.
I can see that, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's why that one stuck out to me as being a bit off. All the other ones though I like the couple who get killed together because they're like having a picnic at night.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to talk about the ones in the car.
Oh, the ones in the car as well. That's not bad.
I like that one, especially like just their reluctance to be like kind of like you go out, like no, I'm not going out, like
he's just standing there in front of them.
Yeah.
Also, why does Tommy bring Jason's mask with him?
The guy's messed up. Listen, he's had a lot of problems. He's not perfect.
We should probably mention at the end of the resurrection scene for the title, it zooms into Jason's eye, and then we get the James Bond. But with Jason, where he walks into the eye and then turns with a machete.
That is pretty cool. I really like everything about this, like opening, just like the way it looks, and when you first get that Jason reveal, and it's just kind of like this, maggot-ridden corpse. I think it is all very cool looking.
No, that opening scene is really good fun. Actually, the sheriff when he dies, just to go back to kill scenes, he gets bent all the way backwards.
Yeah.
That's pretty fun. The edit's a little bit awkward, but overall it's a pretty fun little idea. And he tries desperately to save his daughter, and well, she does survive, so I guess he succeeds in some capacity. Although it's not really because he sacrificed himself; it's kind of irrelevant of that. But
sure,
whatever, it's fine. It's fine. Yeah. He goes out noble, trying to be a hero.
Yeah.
We have to talk about the deputy, who doesn't actually die. He's actually just left in the cell, but because Tommy's locked up at one point, and then the sheriff's daughter like breaks him out, and they lock the deputy in there. But we have to talk about his ridiculous laser sight on his handgun.
Oh, yeah.
It's this big chunky laser sight. It's like really really thick, and now at first I saw it and I went, "What the hell's with that laser sight?" And then they actually mention it. He mail ordered it himself. He actually bought this himself for his police issued weapon because he wants.
There's no way this. Yeah, like a small town sheriff's office ain't gonna be paying for high tech weaponry like that.
No. What was it he says again? He's like, "Oh, wherever the red dot goes, like you bang or something like that." It was...
yeah, something. At this point, it's been a while since I watched it, like almost a week or so. So I don't remember off the top of my head. But
damn, you get this one in early. What the hell, Tom?
But yeah, it was something clunky like that.
Yeah, it was weird, but hey, And then all the weird humor where there's like a bit of a police chase and the sheriff's daughter's got him, like got Tommy in the car, and she makes him duck. Even though she's already running from the police, she's already driving away from cops. She still makes him duck down into her lap, and we keep getting this POV shot from Tommy as his head's on her lap, where it's right in at her crotch, and he just keeps looking, and then eventually, like because of the turns, he starts rocking back and forth in the car, and then she goes, "Oh, that's what I want." As they're driving, and I'm like, what's happening here? And even the fact that she like Tommy, he was forced to leave the town. He calls the sheriff's office, and there's some bodies have turned up. He calls the sheriff's office, trying to reach the sheriff, and he gets her, who's hanging around there, who's been told to stay there for safety reasons, and she is like, "Oh, where are you? Oh, I'll come and get you. It's fine." And I'm like, literally the only conversation she's had with him up until this point was when she flirted with him briefly when he was inside the jail cell. She doesn't know who this guy is. She doesn't even know why he was locked up. She doesn't know why he was arrested. And she's like, "No, I'll come and pick you up."
So, do you just like not believe in true love, or what?
I'm not even going to dignify that with a response then. I'm going to dignify that with a response. This is weak sauce. This is the weakest of weak sauce when it comes to romance plots.
No, I mean, it's, again, I'm not going to argue with you. These are all very fair points. Again, it's just like, I don't know, I think maybe like with your expectations and stuff, it's like, yeah, I'm not really expecting like, really, great highbrow comedy or, a really powerful romance or anything in a Friday the 13th movie.
Oh, I don't want a powerful romance. You're mistaking what I'm saying here. I just want a romance that vaguely makes sense.
Fair.
That's all I'm asking for. Vaguely makes sense. Not even specifically makes sense, just vaguely.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, asking for a little bit, but too much. But
I don't know if I have to be. But yeah, again, I don't know. I feel like I've come off really negative. I don't mean to be, because the kills are really good. It moves really briskly. Jason, if I have any complaints about Jason's looks, is I'm not sure I love the tool belt that he's got.
Yeah, and has he always had those gloves?
No, that was this one. That was just this one, I think. Not carrying the gloves. It almost feels too neat, because he starts off the movie like being this like disgusting like zombified corpse, and then by the time he puts on the mask, he feels like he's really cleaned up, and it just feels a bit off, I guess is what I'd say. But it seems weird. Like I don't know. He seems like almost like mechanic-y or something. Yeah, he feels like a mechanic with a hockey mask on. But hey,
which I'm not like, I can't really describe, I guess, what I thought his outfit was before that, but yeah, it didn't seem like that much of a like in your face working.
It was more damaged. It was more. I think it was more ripped. Typically, it was kind of wet, and darker. Whereas this feels just a little bit more, I don't know, clean. I mean, to be fair, his costume in 3 was pretty clean. It was just like a green shirt, but
yeah. So okay, so now I'm curious about something you kind of touched upon a little earlier.
Oh, go on.
Where you mentioned like this is the first one where it's like fully like committed to the, all right, he's a supernatural creature now. But I mean, are we to believe that he wasn't before? Like, I mean, it always seemed like there was something going on with him. Like I know it's a little more ambiguous in the earlier movies, but
I think it's just, this is the one that just kind of actually confirms it and does it, because there's a big difference between, oh, this is a bit unbelievable that he keeps getting back up, to he's literally struck by lightning whilst he's a corpse that's been rotting in the ground for like, which by the way, actually, so he's been in the ground for like what, at least 10 years at this point? Because think about it, Tommy has aged about 10 years since 4.
Okay. Oh, this is since 4. Okay, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, so I could just ignore 5 for the sake of this. It doesn't really matter. Yeah. Since 4, he's aged about 10 years, probably, right? He's went from about 12 to about his early 20s, right? We agree with this assessment.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Right? Which means, even, and I'm pretty sure there was a time jump before in one of the other movies, but even, let's just assume Friday 4 took place in 1984, when it came out. That means that this movie is set in at least 1994.
Oh boy. Okay.
And I'm pretty sure the next film starts off with like a 5 years later,
All right.
which means the following film takes place in 1999 at least.
Okay, we're getting a little dicey here.
Yeah, I want to follow the timeline here, and technically where we should be, by the time we get to like 8, which, I don't know if there's a time jump between 7 and 8, but if there is, then we're into the 2000s at that point.
Feels like we're starting to like verge onto like Batman timeline logic. We're like,
yeah, it's all condensed. Yeah, it's like, how did he have all these Robins and all this time? Yeah. No, it's starting to feel it that way. What I'm getting at is that by the time we get to 9, we're actually past the year that Jason X is supposed to take place. I'm joking,
Jesus.
but but yeah, yeah. But anyway, so I might be more positive because the kills are fantastic. The kills are fantastic. They're really having fun with it, and
That's why I said they're having fun.
They are having fun. I can't dispute they're having fun with the kills, and there's definitely more of them, and they definitely don't bother hiding Jason. Like, they just you see Jason from the get go, which is maybe why when you say this finally feels like what you think of as Friday the 13th, I think that's what you mean, that they're not hiding him at all. It's just straight in. No, here's Jason. But I do think it does suffer a little bit because there's not that build. There's no building and building till it gets bigger and bigger, and then finally in the third act it's the big blowout. It's kind of missing that. I think there's a happier medium between the two.
Oh sure, yeah. Like it's not a perfect movie. Like it definitely could have been better. Like the points that you bring up, like right now, I really like. I think it's a very fun movie. But like you said, if they did fix some of the stuff that you kind of like bringing up here, it could kind of elevate it from being like, oh, this is a really fun movie to like, oh no, this is like over the line, like actual legitimately good movie.
Now, what they actually do in the third act to give it some weight is they actually have they have to protect the kids, so that's all about hiding the kids. And because the whole movie, like, there's like, oh, Jason's going back to Crystal Lake because that's his hunting ground, and he eventually gets there, and it's all about protecting the kiddies, and that does a decent job of like making it a little bit more like compared to the rest of the movie. There's like stakes there because the kids are in danger.
Wasn't there like a funny joke with like the like two of the kids like under the bed or something, and they're just like, oh yeah, we're gonna die.
Yeah, like we see them like 3 or 4 times. They're like there's almost like this running commentary. Because the first time we see them, it's the same 2 kids, and they kind of like joke about how crappy the guy is, the guidance counselor or the camp counselor, and it's like when they're told to hide, it's like, oh, we're going to, and I think the other kid turns to him and says, oh, so what did you want to be when you grew up?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah, that was the line. And I was, that was pretty funny. Full points for that. That was good. Yeah. That was good. No, it's a really solid movie. I think like. I think I've came in sounding more negative because I need to counteract the what feels like overwhelming praise from the fan base. When I realize a clear cut above like some of the other ones, and when we get to like 7 and 8, like I'm going to spoil this right now for you guys. I actually have quite a fun place in my heart for 8. Like I know it's not the greatest thing ever, but Jason Takes Manhattan's takes my heart.
No, I definitely wouldn't say it's like the best in the series or anything, but I don't really understand the hate for it because it is, again, if you like the kind of the cheesiness of it, I think that's like one of the funnest ones.
Yeah, but 6 is pretty solid. Do you know what I almost is? I almost think 6 is too intentionally funny.
All right, fair, yeah, okay.
Like I feel like some of the cheesiness of some of the other ones is there unintentionally, and that's what kind of gives it the charm and the funniness. Whereas this one, because it's almost intentionally a comedy at times, it's kind of like, it's just a little bit on the nose.
Yeah, like I wouldn't say that it's meta, but it does seem to kind of be aware of the type of movie it is.
Well, it was just kind of the same as Jason X, I suppose, in a lot of ways. This is kind of Jason X, just not in the future. In a lot of ways, and that's fine too, and that's again a very different film. But I also do enjoy Jason X, and I do enjoy this one. Again, I don't want to make it. I wouldn't think I don't like it. I do like it a lot. But it all comes down. I've said this multiple times at this point, but it comes down to Jason's murder scenes. Those kills are what make this movie. They're great, definitely. And they're frequent, and they're plentiful, so they're good.
And I would actually say I really like the ending quite a bit. Like I actually do kind of like feel the tension in it, and I like the kind of solution that they come up with, and all the underwater stuff I think looks pretty cool.
Yeah, the ending works pretty well. Although I do want to critique how Tommy arrives at his plan a little bit.
Okay.
He goes into a random store. He comes out with 3 books. He tosses 2 of them aside after looking at the covers, which I don't get it. You just bought all these. Why didn't you just look at them and toss them aside inside the store and only bought the one that you needed? But he gets to the one that he wants to look through. It just so happens he was lucky that there was a book in that small store that talked about reanimated animals or dead people. And so he comes up with a plan that they have to put Jason back in his original resting place, which is at the bottom of the lake where he drowned as a kid. And okay, all right. It sounds fine in terms of what you want to do with the movie. I just, when you actually stop and think about how he gets to that conclusion, all he does is look it up in a book that he gets in a small store. That's all he did to come to that conclusion. But yeah, so yeah, the plan revolves around him. Like he's getting like a chain. He's going to put it around Jason's neck and tie him, weigh him down so he stays at the bottom of the lake. So there's almost like a Jaws-esque quality to the final scene where Jason's underwater and he's like coming for them, and because there's that great moment where he's walking into the water and he's like, he's up to about his chest and he sort of turns around really quickly and he's sort of picking between Tommy and the sheriff's daughter and he's going back and forth and that stuff works quite well.
It's kind of like a funny, like reminds me of like 2 people trying to like call a dog or something over to him.
And you almost wondered, is Jason aware that he's about to be tricked? Like, is he caught onto the plan? Makes me wonder. It makes me wonder because I'm not sure. Yeah. Maybe he did.
And I do think it's a nice like little callback to the I guess it'd be multiple movies where it ends with someone in like a little boat or whatever, and he jumps out of the water and pulls them down.
Yeah, except this time you're waiting for it because Tommy's like putting the gasoline around the boat to set it on fire. And this is him trying to counteract it. So it is kind of a neat culmination of all those little endings that we've had in some of the past movies. So no, I mean it pays respect to some of the franchise. It has some really great kills. It moves at a really nice pace. I would just argue that it maybe suffers in kind of a sort of proper ongoing, like sort of build and plot to get to the end. And I know you're kind of doing that with Tommy and the sheriff stuff, but that kind of, it feels almost like that goes in circles a little bit because like he's locked up, then the sheriff lets him go and tries to get him out of town, and then Tommy comes back, he gets locked up again. Everyone keep him down. I get knocked down. I get up again.
Jesus. Yeah, I mean, I would say most of that like middle chunk with Tommy is pretty forgettable. Like again, really, it's the beginning with him and the end with him that's I think is actually memorable. Now, did you hear about it was like somewhat recently, maybe just like a few months ago or something, but someone had made like a Jason statue that they threw like into the middle of a lake, and like people only recently discovered it, but like they were doing some underwater like diving thing.
I did not hear this. Has it been there since like 1986? Because that'd be fantastic.
I don't know if it was like that early on, but I do think it was something that had been in there for a while. Like it wasn't like someone just threw that in there the other day. But yeah, there was it was one of those like Facebook posts that people share or whatever. But if you look up the story, it's kind of like a funny little thing.
Okay, all right. That sounds fun. But yeah, so I guess that's Friday the 13th, Part 6. Jason Lives.
Okay, well, actually, one last thing I want to bring up. Now, do you subscribe to the theory at all that I forget if we even talked about this before, but that Jason is a Deadite? I don't know if you've heard people talk about that.
I've heard it. Not really. No, it's a fun little idea, but no, I don't really.
Yeah.
Go with it.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's like it's one of those things that's like fun, but yeah, I don't really buy it. When people try to say that Jar Jar Binks is like a Sith master or whatever, you're like, all right, I see what you did there. Good job, but come on.
Yeah, I like the theory more that the alien, the xenomorph, was created to combat the creature from The Thing.
Oh, okay, I don't think I heard that one, but that's interesting.
Yeah, that's why it was breeded the way it is. It was breeded. I said breeded there. It was bred to like, because of the way the organism works and it adapts to what it's, and that's because that's what the Thing does as well. So they'll fight each other. It'll be a thing.
Ooh.
It wouldn't make a good movie though, because it would just be like flesh melding and like
Oh yeah.
yeah, it would be a fight on a molecular level more than it would be a physical fight, I think. But
And
you know,
and it'd be some dumb bullshit where it's like a group of teenagers are trying to figure it out for an hour, and you get like
Yeah.
2 seconds of them actually merging or whatever.
Yep. But yeah, so Friday the 13th Part 6 is a really solid sequel. It is really fun. It is really quick paced, great kills. But I do have to admit, I like the more horror movie focus of 2, 3, 4. I think they hold up a little bit better for me, but I think it's maybe just out of taste. This one is definitely more screw the plot. Let's just have fun kills, and the kills are great. They are indeed. So that's why it's loved by so many. But I guess we will rate the film out of 10. Tim, so what would you give Friday the 13th Part 4 or 6? Part 6.
It is definitely my favorite of the franchise, but I'm not gonna act like it's a cinematic masterpiece or anything. So I'm gonna give it a high score, but I feel like I can't go like too high, so I'm gonna go with a 7.5. Again, it's it's a lot of fun. My favorite of the series. But yeah, I mean, it's not perfect or anything, but I like it a heck of a lot.
A lot of qualifiers there. I'm going with a 6.5. That's where I land on it. I think it's good. I think it's a lot of fun. Jason's really ripping through people, and it's glorious to watch. So that is there you go. So next time when we come back to Friday the 13th, down the line, it'll be Jason versus Carrie in Friday the 13th Part 7, The New Blood.
I always figured about this one. I'm excited for it, even though I usually don't really remember liking it too much. But
it's just funny that was clearly the idea, and then they couldn't get Carrie, so they just changed it. Oh, another girl with telekinesis is fine. But that's the premise of the movie, so that's what's coming up in Part 7. But that has been Part 6. So let us know what you thought of this one in the comments below. Like and subscribe, all that stuff. Get us on the Twitters at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the channel, head over to patreon.com/mailedfuzztv. You can do that over there. You get various things early. You get bonuses. You get to vote once a month in the voting episode. Lots of stuff on offer over there. But that is us. So, and obviously this was a bonus episode this week because this is going out on Friday the 13th. We probably should have opened with that and said, "Hey, happy Friday the 13th." That's why this is here today. But I think we forgot because we're recording this a few days in advance and it slipped our mind. Yeah, it's fine. But it's Friday the 13th, so which by the way. Actually, one final point in the movie. This is the first one that's actually mentioned. It's Friday the 13th since I think the second one.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember. I mean, the last one I don't think definitely didn't. I don't think 4 did. I remember 1 coming up in a subtitle saying it was Friday the 13th, and I think 2 did as well. But I think that's it. So someone in dialogue actually mentioned it's Friday the 13th.
It's always nice when they mention it. Gives you like a little like, oh hey, they said it.
Well, yeah, because I mean, the series is called Friday the 13th, but for most of them, I don't even get the impression that it's taking place in Friday the 13th. Because unlike Halloween, there's no like decorations that kind of tell you, oh, this is a Halloween day or whatever.
Yeah, and it's not like, I mean, I don't even think like any of them take place specifically on just one day. Like most of them seem to span like at least a little bit. They
do, yeah, they absolutely do. Which is probably why they eventually just dropped the title and just started calling it Jason something or whatever. But hey,
so it'll be Friday the 13th in a couple of days. Do you have anything special planned? Are you gonna do anything for the holiday?
I wasn't planning on it. No.
Okay. All right.
Do you typically do things for Friday the 13th?
Well, I mean, it's one of those things where if I wasn't so busy, like, yeah, I would love to have like a, night where, a bunch of people come over and maybe we'll watch a couple of Fridays or play some of the game or something. But I mean, who am I kidding? I'm going to be tired from work and probably fall bed at like 8:30 or something.
Also, I love you said play some of the game, but I feel like coming from you mean the NES game and not the the multiplayer game that's like popular.
Yeah. Well, I do have both of them, but I mean, yeah, honestly, if I was gonna pick one, it'd probably be the NES one.
With the purple suit. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, like interesting. I think this is the second one that's went out on Friday the 13th, because the first one did. Because the reason why we even started doing them in October was because there was a Friday the 13th in October. I remember that.
Yeah.
That was the defining reason. Oh, we need to start the Friday the 13th. This is too perfect. So this is the second one in the franchise that we've actually put out on a Friday the 13th. So here's hoping that maybe when we get towards the end of the franchise, we'll maybe be able to round it out on a Friday the 13th. That'd be fun.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Because we're actually halfway through now that I think about it.
Yeah, there's more than more than you think.
Yeah, there's 12. This was 6. That's half.
Right.
Half a dozen, one might say. That's how math works, but hey. So is that us? I think that's us. I think that's Screams After Midnight. That's been Friday the 13th Part 6. Thank you very much for watching and listening. We always appreciate it, as always, so thank you very much. And we will see you next time. Keep watching scary movies, guys. Goodbye.